what your idea of healthy is. So I'm going to try to get y'all to engage as much as possible. So please volunteer. Give me one hand, somebody thinks they can answer what is healthy. Eating. Being strong is definitely healthy, but let's keep this about nutrition today.
Sugar.
Low sugar.
Low sugar. What do you call it? Spike. Insulin spike.
Insulin, okay.
Balance.
Love it. Insulin has a place for what it needs to do. Sugar, how do you mean sugar?
Well, I meant the insulin spike.
Yeah.
Watch what foods that make you spike and stay there.
And stay there, right. Okay. Is that healthy or is that not healthy? Okay. So here's my definition that I wrote out. Let me make this bigger so I can see it. Because I always sit in the front because I can never see the slides in a PowerPoint. Woo. All right. Healthy eating is the consistent practice of choosing high-quality foods that support your health, performance, and longevity, aligned with your lifestyle and activity level. So that is my definition that I took some time to come up with. And here's some bullet points. So nutrient-dense foods, and I would love for y'all to just yell out an answer for this. What is one nutrient-dense food? Can anybody shoot that out there? Have you ever heard the word superfoods? Edamame. Can you? Blueberries, love it. Antioxidants. Anything else?
Beef.
Beef, what do we hear? Sweet potatoes, excellent choices. Yes. What kind of beef? Lean beef, there we go. All right, high quality protein sources. Does anybody know what that means in the science side of things? So complete proteins have all of the amino acids. Usually that's going to be an animal-based product, fish, and things like that. And then you can also pair up like peas and rice and beans, these other things that create complementary proteins that come together and give you everything you need. Colorful, diverse foods, that's an easy one. That's our fruits and vegetables most of the time. And then balanced intake, meaning we want to have protein, carbs, and fats in a normal amount. And we'll talk about what that is in a little bit. Who can tell me what is a bad food? What does that mean? Unhealthy, bad? Nobody knows? Cakes? Ultra processed foods. We'll talk about that later too. Great. Do we have any others back there I heard? Anything you abuse. That's an excellent answer, Emily. Yes. So there is no one bad food, right? There is consistent choices that create bad foods. I'm going to eat a very high sugar snack every night, or well beyond what I actually need, or tons and tons of saturated fat through beef or other means. That's what creates something to be unhealthy. So bad is not necessarily a one-off. It's something we see often and make choices over time. Who can tell me 3 of the biggest killers in America every year going back for decades? Heart disease, number 1, I think. Anybody got another? Stroke's right up there with it. Yep. I got one more I'm looking for. Kind of in line with these other 2, yes. The last one, cancer, is up there. It's like top 5. But these are all things that are preventable to a degree based on our food choices and exercise and other lifestyles. We'll talk about a little bit more of that in a bit. All right, fiber is one of the best things that we can get to prevent those diseases. It is protective against all of these diseases. The more we have, the better. And it has benefits as well. Digestion, satiety. Michelle, you asked about wanting to feel full and be satisfied. Fiber is one of those things that does that very well. So it keeps us feeling full for a longer period of time because it takes a little bit longer to digest. And so we get through that. Okay, now I don't feel the need to eat again in an hour, but maybe I can get 2 or 3 before dinner and then have another healthy choice at that time. All right, it supports blood sugar, cholesterol, heart health, chronic diseases, and inflammation, all great benefits. And those diseases we talked about up there, you mentioned obesity, diabetes, in these other areas as well. Arthritis is a big one. But with all of this, we got the recommendations there. 25 grams a day for women, 38 for men, and more is better. So I put the reference up there, a couple of them. But for every 8 grams per day of fiber, we have a 5 to 15% lower chance of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, colorectal cancer. And that's directly resourced from a review where they look at tons and tons of information over time. But that could all be kind of secondary because any long-term data that we have on fiber is retrospective. That means they looked at it in the past. What did these people report that they had and ate over a period of time, and what are some of the other choices they made? So if they're eating higher fiber foods, they're probably eating higher quality foods more often, and then maybe that comes along with exercise as well, so they're not having these diseases because they're making lots of healthy choices. We can't just say, well, fiber is the reason that happened, but it is probably something that they narrow down and say, well, this is connected to this healthy population, and so we are, connected to the healthy population, and it's not always like, maybe it's just that one thing, but a series of choices that go with it. All right. Next topic, we got macros and micros. These are your main nutrients that we have. Like a lot of times we're tracking macros, your proteins, fats, and carbs. Whoops, there we go. And so macronutrients give you the calories to help fuel your body every day. We use them to determine your energy intake for the day, and it is beneficial. It's not beneficial to eliminate something. I know we talk about low carb, keto diets. We'll get into that a little bit, but we need all of this to live a quality life long term. All right. There's some reasons that you can go ahead and say, well, I'm going to get rid of carbs for a period of time, or for a certain reason, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want you to think of your macros as your gas, your battery, and your engine. Think of your car, right? The things that make it run and continue to run over time. That's our macros. And I got a quick list here you can look at for a second. If you need ideas, I put the healthiest ones I can find on there. If you have some other options, feel free to yell it out. But there's something in here that I did not put, and I want to ask you about it. Where do beans fit? Any kind of beans within this list? Who can give me an answer? Who said everywhere? Emily. All right, our biology teacher over there. She got the answer right off the bat, right? So they got quality fats, they got fiber, they got carbs, they got protein in them, various amounts of each, mostly a carb, but it has all of it in there, and it's a great source to mix around and goes well with just about anything. Thank you for that. Moving to our micronutrients, there's way more action going on for this. So our vitamins and minerals that support the bodily functions and health, they do not provide calories, but provide other benefits that make you feel good and just go well. It's like your premium fuel here, right? We have lots of nutrients. This is going to be our oil change, our wipers, our brakes, all the other things that will make your car continue to run and be a little bit of a luxury along the way as well. I got some examples up here, such as a muscle contraction. It takes a lot of different nutrients, sodium, potassium, ATP, magnesium, calcium. All of these things are in our system and working every time we make a movement. So my hands are up here moving around when I'm talking because I'm Italian. But like every movement we do is a muscle contraction in some way, and all of these nutrients are being used to make that happen, to contract, relax, and go through that cycle. And then we have fatty acids to support energy production, cell structure, hormone regulation, and inflammation, and absorb other vitamins as well. So we need those nutrients. Do you have a question back here?
Yeah, what is ATP?
Adenosine triphosphate, that is our direct energy source within our muscles. So the 1 second, if you do a powerful jump, ATP, that system is the first thing we use, and then we start breaking down things like carbs and fats the longer we continue to exercise. So that is our direct source of energy in the muscle there. Good question. Contractions, where are we at? Number 2. All right, sorry, still nervous. Muscle contractions depend on electrolytes to send the signal, calcium to contract, magnesium to relax. So there's a little bit more detail. And then I got the ATP to power the whole entire process is my note for that one. So good job. Being deficient here can lead to weakness, fatigue, a varied other ways of decreasing performance or mental while you're in the gym and doing other things. And continuous long-term deficiencies can lead to like injuries or risk of injury really, and maybe not feeling good. And that's not something we want to do. We exercise in here. Everybody in here comes to the gym here. And so we need to make sure we're getting these things so we can come in and perform well and not have injuries and continued problems because of what we're doing. All right, here are the top 10 micronutrients I listed. There's like a million, but vitamin D, calcium, sodium, B12, zinc, magnesium, potassium, iron, omega-3s, and some vitamin C. There's some sources for you if you need ideas for it. And we will pass this out a little bit. At the end, you'll get a copy of the slideshow, so if you ever need to reference it, you'll be able to, all right? All right, moving to Is It a Fad? Go back one? Sure. What'd you need to see, John?
I'm just kind of looking through all the...
Sure. Good morning, Bonita. Good morning. Thank you for making it today. Good, John? All right. Is it a fad? This is going to be a fun little section here, and I'm going to ask you just to raise your hand for each question here, all right? So first one we're looking at is the fad diets, the carnivore, animal-based, paleo, ancestral, primal. It's got lots of different names for marketing over the years, but fact or myth number 1, animal foods provide all the nutrients that we need. Fact, raise your hand. Myth, raise your hand. All right, good job, y'all. You did so good. So though animal foods do provide plenty of nutrients, there's still much left to be desired from other sources such as fiber, we talked about that, vitamin C, phytonutrients, potassium, magnesium, and vitamin E are just some to name that animal foods are not going to give us. Number 2, carbohydrates are not essential to the diet. Fact, raise your hand. All right, we got one. Is anybody else going to follow? Not essential to the diet, meaning we do not need it to survive. All right, so Tracy, I think you're 2 for 2 today. That is fact. However, with that being said, that's not what I want you to remember today. What I want you to remember is that if you want to live a quality life, we need things like fiber that come from carbohydrates. And this is a definition thing. Essential means we must have it to survive. No, we don't need that, but that could mean that we're going into other health problems that shorten our lifespan. So essential for a quality long-term life is what I would say. So that's a little trick question there. All right, number 3, animal-based diets are better for weight loss than balanced diets. Fact or myth? What do y'all think?
My daughter-in-law is living that, number 3.
Okay.
That's the only way she could lose weight.
The only way?
She had tried different diets. This is after pregnancy,
Gotcha.
and carnivore has worked. She has dropped 30 pounds.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, especially if she's,
She's going to do it for a short period.
yeah, short period of time, great. Long term wouldn't be my suggested ideal way to go about it, but this is a myth. There is not going to be one diet that is better than another for weight loss. Weight loss is going to be driven by how much we're eating, and that doesn't matter if that's animal foods, plant foods, or a combination of both. At best, it would be the same or just as good, not better. All right. Number 4, animal-based diets use butter and tallow, which are better than plant-based seed oils. Hooper et al. 2020 as a reference. Fact, raise your hand, or myth? Fact first. Who thinks that's true? 1, 2, 3. Animal-based diets are better because they use butter and tallow instead of seed oils. All right, so we got a few. Amy, tell me why you think that that's true. Because Stuart says so. Okay.
I like it.
All right, so again, this is another internet myth. Hooper et al. 2020 actually discusses the benefits of reducing saturated fats such as butter and tallow and replacing them with mono and polyunsaturated fats, which are going to be your olive oils, seed oils of all varieties, and that we see improved health benefits, specifically the ones that are trying to sell you as the opposite on the internet. So keep that in mind. I see Amy's already texting Stuart back there. Avocado oil is excellent, yes. Another option for that polyunsaturated fat, but we want quality, not just internet telling us seed oils are bad. Why? So saturated fats are the reason that when we look at like diseases such as cancer mostly, and high cholesterol, saturated fats are the link to that. And long-term exposure over time is what is kind of says, hey, this is the link. If you do this for a long time, your risk of cancer and diseases goes up with saturated fat, high cholesterol, that stroke, heart disease, all kind of connected there through that dot. Not the only reason, but it is one of them.
What are other examples of saturated fat besides butter or tallow?
Butter, tallow, any beef that has fat in it, so your lower lean or higher fat content meats of any animal, skin on the chicken, duck, whatever it is, all saturated fats. Pretty much anything that comes from an animal other than fish. Fish have some good quality fats with them. Yep, there we go. Yep. If it solidifies. Thank you for that. Awesome. Yes. Yep, in the arteries. Yep. Thank you. Love that we have a teacher in with us. I'm going to ask you how I did at the end, too. A couple of teachers, but I think. All right, next one is intermittent fasting. Is better than eating without time restrictions. So you eat for 8 hours in a day or 10 or whatever your window is. Is that better, myth or fact? What do y'all think? You just yell it. Myth. Right. So same thing as the last slide. Rarely anything is better than another, but it may be a useful tool to help somebody eat less. Say, hey, I'm not going to eat after this time so that I'm not overeating. So that could be a great tool, but know the reason why you're doing it, not just like, oh, this is better than maybe just eating a balanced diet. Number 2, intermittent fasting, where individuals eat 1 meal per day can lead to a shorter lifespan. Fact or myth? Raise your hand for myth. Couple back there. Raise your hand for fact. Onesies and twosies maybe. Everybody else is unsure. 1 meal a day. So this one technically is fact, although the research on this, again, retrospective, so it's looking back, and it's self-reported, so there might be a little bit, but there's high numbers. So they take like hundreds of thousands of people, survey them, and say, okay, what did you do? Did you only eat 1 meal? And then over a long period of time, they see, okay, there's a shorter, these people don't live as long than people that are eating more often. And there could be a bunch of different reasons that it happens, and it may be just like one detail of a whole life. But that is something that right now we know to be true based on the current information out there, all right? That could change with more and more control in the research over time. All right, last one. Intermittent fasting is better for weight loss due to the amount of time you are not eating due to autophagy. Fact or myth? All right. Most people don't. Another internet buzzword around intermittent fasting. It's like your body's like eating up some of the bad stuff that's in there. Maybe that one missed. But that happens regardless if you fast or not. And at best, it can be the same as just a regular diet. All right. Moving to the last one, ketogenic or very low carbs. First one, keto is best for weight loss because your body will go into ketosis and burn more fat since you are eating less carbohydrates. Fact? Anybody? Who thinks it's a complete myth?
I don't think it's doable.
Couple people back there. Definitely a myth. Ketosis does happen, but it's not relevant to our body weight or composition changes. At best, can be similar to a balanced energy deficit, and this is something that may be even more in the wrong direction because based on what the internet is telling us, when you see these influencers, when you go into ketosis, your body actually stores more fat because it needs energy to push you through the day. So it says, okay, I'm going to burn more, but I'm also going to store more so that you can have that continued feed of energy because we're not getting carbs. Plus, we got to transfer it into, your body actually changes fats and proteins into carbs so that it can send it up to the brain and other areas that we just need it for fuel. What do you got, Ray?
So, because a lot of people do lose weight from that. So is it because that they're probably just eating less of
100%.
like
That's all you got to say. They are eating less, so eating less calories, really, and maybe they're doing it in a good way. It doesn't have to be bad just because it says keto. But weight loss is due to restriction of some sort, calories being that driver, and so they're losing weight because they're eating less and they're adhering to that diet. So yes, you can lose weight, but the way that it works is not the way that it's presented in the internet.
And the body is going to pick the most available energy source.
Right.
So maybe protein is more available than
Not usually. Protein takes the most work to change into energy. It still does it, but it's going to take the most from fat because the carb source isn't there. But good thought. All right, number 2, carbs make you gain weight, or carbs at night will make you gain weight. Fact or myth? Fact? Fact? All right. We're going to get deeper into this in a little bit, but for now it's a myth. Emerging research may see some differences at eating at night rather than spreading meals out, but the current total energy intake is what actually causes weight gain, not necessarily the timing of the meals. So if you eat 2,500 calories a day and that's your target, then you should see whatever result you're looking for with that number. If you're less than that, maybe you're losing weight. If you're more than that, maybe you're gaining weight. It doesn't really matter when it comes. When we sleep, our body goes into recovery mode, and so it's using a lot of the nutrients, and if it's there, it's going to be better than sometimes if it's not there. Excess is going to be the thing that makes us gain weight. All right, last one. Adherence to a diet will lead to weight loss and often improve health markers. Fact, raise your hand for fact, or myth. Fact first. Yes, so generally, adherence is the best way to go about a diet. You're following your plan, and then as you lose weight, generally we see better markers of health. That could be your HbA1c if you're near diabetic, and many other things, such as like cholesterol usually goes down with weight loss as well. All right. One thing I want to leave with you with before we take a break is that our long-term health is about quality choices, not those one-off days. It's okay to go and enjoy yourself from time to time, especially if you're in Paris and just having a wedding with your kids. Like that is not a time to be like, I need to not be lost weight. Do lots of walking out there? But enjoy yourself from time to time in the given situation. It's the day-to-day that when we're home and we're going through the grind that is really going to be the time that we need to buckle in and just say, hey, I'm going to make healthy choices most of the time so that I can live a nice, healthy life and reduce those major problems. All right, we're going to take a 5-minute break here if you got to use the bathroom. If not, we're going to take a little lap around the building, a little bit of a walk, get everybody's blood flowing a little bit. Hopefully nobody's falling asleep. All right, y'all, let's get back into it. That was a little bit longer break than planned, but that's okay. Hopefully y'all don't have anywhere to be. All right, so second half here, we're going to start talking about the training effect on calories. What does that mean? So basically, cardiovascular or endurance training is going to build or burn the most calories during exercise, right? So when we go out and run or bike or swim, whatever that is, while we're exercising, it takes the most energy to do so. It's going to burn a lot of carbs, it's going to burn a lot of fat, but what happens after is homeostasis. That is, our body regulates back to normal, and that happens within a few hours of that exercise. Very different than strength training, we have the EPOC effect. EPOC is exercise post-oxygen consumption, and that is going to take up to 72 hours, so 3 days of burning energy. So our calorie burn after is going to be much, much greater than any kind of endurance training. That's why I think the trend of things, like people want to lose weight, I'm going to go run on a treadmill for hours and hours, and that just seems to not ever work, right? So you come in strength train, you burn more calories over a period of time, day to day, and then you come back to it when you're recovered and do it again, and that just has a bigger impact on what we need. BMR, basal metabolic rate, is multiplied by activity factors. And that BMR number, if you do it in body, it gives you that little number. Usually it's pretty low. That is what it takes to maintain your current body weight, not composition, but your current body weight if you sat on the couch and did nothing all day long. So I need 1,400 calories, and I won't gain a pound, but I'm just going to sit here. Now, if you go to work and sit at a desk, maybe walk around a little bit, we have a little bit of activity factor there at 1.2, and that's going to be, okay, take that number, multiply it, and get a little bit more. And you can see here, the more activity that you do, the higher that multiplier goes up. So a lot of people fit into that 3 times strength training, getting your steps in throughout the day. Maybe you have other activities that you're doing. That could be a great way. And this is just a starting point. This is where if you're trying to have some kind of goal or live healthy and just know what you need, this is where we say, hey, start here, and then we'll make adjustments based off of what your needs are from there. Now you can see strength training 5 times a week, lots of steps, doing other activities like sports, and just being a bigger muscular person. That's going to require a whole lot more calories to be able to have energy for that and perform fairly well. I know if you're feeling like, hey, I'm fatigued after a couple days of not eating very much, that's something that, okay, maybe you're going to come in here, like we talked about those deficiencies, that fatigue or tiredness, and now we don't have the ability to do the exercise as well as previous, and that makes an impact on how well we do over time. And that's why the consistency of this eating is very important. Moving on from there, eating for weight loss. I crossed out, eat less than you burn in a day. I hate that sentence. It was when I graduated from Austin Peay, we did a little 20-question test, and it said, how do you lose weight? And this was the answer. And I thought I can answer that so much better. So I put, know what you eat, or know what you burn in a day, and eat to support the adaptation that you want. If weight loss is the adaptation you're looking for, then we need to eat a little bit less, but we want to eat the right things. We were talking about protein with Michelle outside a little bit, and we're going to get into that quite a bit. But maintenance calories is the amount of energy we need to support our total daily energy expenditure. So that is when we talked on this slide, the training, steps, other activities that you're doing, that's going to be our TDEE. And then if you want to lose weight, we take from that number, depending on how aggressive you want the diet to be. And we're going to go on the next slide. If your diet is very aggressive, like person B, or if it's conservative like person A. So I'm just going to read it real quick. 350 calorie deficit a day, expecting to lose 1 pound every 10 days. So there's 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So that's our target. This person rarely goes above the target, plans for cheat meals, and stays motivated because they're having success with their goal. And they're choosing foods that are enjoyable. This person is probably going to have a lot of success long term because they're taking it conservative, and it's like, hey, this is what I do right now, and I know I can do it because I'm enjoying it, I'm feeling full, and I'm not being aggressive with my diet. Person B over there, they're trying to lose 1.5 pounds every week, and this is a very real situation, a 750 calorie a day deficit. If you can only eat 2,000 calories, now you're talking like 1,300. That is hard to not go over. I could never do it. Some people don't eat as much as I do, but that is a very hard thing to do, and that person usually is going to be hungry often because they're in such a deficit that they're going to end up binge eating and constantly struggling to have results because they're going up and down, or they're jumping to diet because, hey, this didn't work. It worked for a couple days or a week, and now I'm way off the wagon. So conservative, manageable, and enjoyable are going to take you much further. Consistent, realistic, everyday habits are likely to have long-term results compared to specific extreme or aggressive diets. All right, Artificial sweeteners. This is one that kind of came up in conversation out with some people in a gym. Does anybody have like thoughts on aspartame or anything else like that? Heard about it on the internet? Good, bad, indifferent? Erythritol? Yeah. I don't know much about that. I didn't see that too much. I should have wrote down, I know sucralose was in there. Ace K was one of them. I don't really know how to pronounce the rest of the word. But there's a few out there. And what I have here, maybe I'll pass on to Charlie the list of the safe ones. Because there might be some that are not good. But generally, if they're not good, they're going to be known and they're going to be banned because they're harmful. So the stuff that does go into your food, most of the time, human research generally shows no harmful side effects. Deborah's et al. 2022 had a list of sweeteners and the ADI, which is acceptable daily intake, before we see any problems. Now, the ADI for aspartame is 4,100 milligrams per day. So you think Diet Coke is my example here, non-nutritive sweetener, has 180 milligrams in one can of Diet Coke. How many does it take to get to 4,100 milligrams? A whole lot. Now, you need to have like 22 cans a day to get up to that problematic area, right? That's the ADI. The ADI is derived from a 100 times multiplier, 10 times for humans, the variability between us, so everybody takes things a little different, and because some of the research is on animals, they multiply that by 10 and combine those. So the true range is like 4,000 or something like that. Like you would need 2,200 cans of Coke a day before we start to see that. And there's going to be so many other things going on if that was even close to that. Like it doesn't make sense, right? So think of the dosage is the poison. The sweetener, the non-nutritive sweeteners, your artificial sweeteners, are not giving you that dosage. It's very, very small, and it goes away quickly. So there's nothing to worry about with them. All right, controlling weight. These can be exceptional for weight loss because our sweet taste sensors are triggered by sugar. So the more we have sugary foods, the more we have a desire to eat them. And where's it at? Wilk et al. 2022 saw in their research, their review, that when you took away the sweet out of the food and replaced it with artificial sweetener, that did not trigger that sensor, and you were less likely to prefer a sweet food after you had the non-nutritive sweetener compared to like actual sugar. So 2 ways this helped with weight loss was 1, you're eating less calories because you have the artificial sweetener there, and 2, because that sensor in your gut to brain connection is not being triggered, you're not preferring those extra calories from sweet foods. So that's a little sciencey, but they are beneficial for weight loss and just controlling like how much you're eating in a day, and seem to be harmless in the big picture. Alrighty, moving on. Substitutions. I know a few people had mentioned wanting different options here, so I'm going to ask you today, what can we eat instead of sugar? This is an easy one. We just talked about it. What are some options though? What are, like, if you're cooking, I don't want to use sugar, I want to use something better. Who has a couple ideas, like, I'm going to use this instead? Sucralose, stevia, what did you say? Honey can be good, but that's still kind of sugar. It's not going to be a substitute. It's going to be a healthier substitute than just like pouring sugar in, but not a calorie changer in that regard. Somebody say monk fruit? Did I hear that? Okay. Y'all nailed it. Stevia, monk fruit, everything else we talked about. What about brown sugar? Because that has a different taste, right? And it's delicious. Maple syrup, so great alternate, but again, not calorie reducing. Think about for the goal of weight loss, what are some things we can remove calories from? Dates, same kind of situation. So I'll just put it up there. Swerve brand is a brand. They have what's called, I think it's just brown sugar, Swerve brown sugar or something like that. It's an artificial sweetener, tastes just like brown sugar, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So you substitute directly your brown sugar with this, 0 calories. What'd you say?
I'll be honest. If I am making something that requires brown sugar, it's probably a special event. It's something special.
Yeah.
I am not putting swerve in that.
And that's those one-offs that we talked about, right? But I know
I'm not eating brown sugar.
for us, we love like sweet potatoes, for example. So sweet potatoes, we love to put some brown sugar on there, and we can eat that every day.
Oh, you're talking about oatmeal, yeah.
Yeah. So think like your day-to-day, how can I cut calories? If I'm having that sweet potato, I'm putting that swerve on it because it tastes good and it's not jacking my calories way up. All right. Next up, we got beef. I know, Tiffany, you had a question about beef. You asked me what can I eat instead, and we talked about like a ribeye steak is a little bit different than a fillet. Fillet is a very lean cut. A London broil, those top round steaks are different than your fatty cuts that probably taste my preference a little better. You might like a fillet. I do too. I'm not prejudiced. But like know the cut of meat that you're eating, or this is an easy one, how much percentage, like if you're ground beef, like very simple, like higher, more lean is better than choosing the lower numbers. I did have somebody ask me recently about, like, what if I drain my ground beef? Great, that's gonna be a better choice than not draining it, but also rinsing it afterwards, which is like, if you put any flavor into it, it's gonna go away. But you have to rinse it, dry it out to get it to be more lean. There's a lot of steps that goes into that, and you're still, in that case, not gonna take it from like 80 to 93. It's gonna be better, but you're not gonna get rid of the intramuscular fat that stays in the meat. It's more the extra outside stuff that's kind of hanging around.
Yeah.
How do they taste?
I mean,
Not nearly as good as beef.
It's not a,
it's okay.
I don't know what the protein content in that.
I don't either. They could be great, especially if you're not a person that doesn't eat meat. I think that's fine. I'm not against any of the plant-based stuff. But let's move on. Butter. What's the substitute for butter? That's simple. Kind of. Better choice, yes. Maybe a better choice. Yeah, it's got coconut. Coconut oil still has saturated fat in it. So maybe still a better choice, but not in some ways. Reduced fat butter is a simple way to go about it, right? They make light ones, great choice. Sometimes margarine can be better. I don't know. I don't really look into that. What about oils? What can we use in place of like olive oil? Like, hey, I need to cut calories. I don't need to use so much. What's a better choice here?
In baking, you can use sugar-free applesauce.
That's so awesome that you said that. I actually took applesauce off the slide because I've never heard that before. Yeah. Yeah. But I was like, this just sounds weird. Nobody's going to say that. But thank you. Do we have another answer? Spray. So you got the sprays that are 0 calorie per like quarter second. And Charlie mentioned the other day, like a spray, like it's quarter second. So not right? Like I do it. But even then, like 0 plus 0 plus 0 maybe equals 1 or 2 or 3. And that's going to be a lot better than 150, 200. The more you put, the more it goes up with the oils. So keep that in mind. Those are great to use if you just need to coat the pan or whatever you're cooking with to reduce the amount. The sprays are great. Not always great if you're going to fry your food, but remember, think about those choices. What about whole milk? This is an easy one. Whatever lower percentage is going to make those calories go down. Your content of protein kind of increases because all they do is filter out the fat. And so if you need calories, great choice. Or if you need more fat, could be a good choice, still saturated. But we have more content of protein within a cup, the more fat we get rid of. So 2 benefits there for improving that. Mayonnaise, what about that one?
Greek yogurt. Yeah.
Greek yogurt, cottage cheese blended up, low fat, mayonnaise, light mayo. What about sour cream? Same, yep. I put plain Greek yogurt, which surprisingly tastes very similar when you throw it on a baked potato or whatever you want. What about sodas? Pops, other drinks that are high calorie. What if you want something with flavor in it? She said tea, diet, great choices. There's lots of 0-calorie drinks out there. We love them at my house. Lots of different flavors, and it's like free water. All right, what about cheese? Great substitute for cheese to cut some calories. Good option. Anything else? That's all right. All right, I also put nutritional yeast is a great choice because it does have a creamy, cheesy taste to it. So it could be a good option. In the right setting, I would look up when to use it. It's not going to be great to go like on top of your burger, but within a meal could be awesome. All right, any other thoughts on substitutions or questions about that? Like maybe we missed something or need help with something?
What's nutritional yeast? I've never had it.
What is it? Is a powder that comes in a can. I don't know how to describe that. I have some at home. Yeah, it kind of does.
But it's,
Yeah. Yeah, you certainly can. I don't know how to describe what it is that well, but it's helpful. Yeah. So it might have a lifespan on it. If it's in your cupboard for 3 years. Yeah, there we go. Get on popcorn. Okay, moving away from weight loss, now we're talking about gains, building, toning muscle. Getting stronger is a great way to look at that. The RDA, recommend daily allowance for protein from our government says 0.8 grams per kilogram per day. Kilogram, divide that by 2.2, and that's your pounds. That's a very low number. That's like 0.4 per pound of protein. Now, if you don't do anything all day long, that might be enough. But we come to the gym, we do different things, we have active throughout the day, we have different needs. Bare minimum down here, if you're not doing a whole lot, could be a good starting point. But this 1.6 to 1.8 or 0.7 to 0.8 grams per day per pound of body weight, that is generally where we want to be at as adults in our life. Now, as you get older, we talked about menopause a little bit. Aging, we want more bone density. We want to reduce the amount of atrophy in our muscles. That is definitely something that drives our need to go up. And even if you're younger like I am, more I'm not the youngest person here, I don't think. But that need, up to about a pound per day is the max that we need. That's always been a number that's been around, but now there's research that supports that. Anything beyond that, people will try to sell you, hey, you need to have 1.5 or 2 grams per pound. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of benefit for that, no matter how big you can get, minus like being on steroids or something. And nobody in here, I don't think, is doing that. What happens when protein is low and strength training is not conducted? That's a question for the group here. Who can answer that?
Muscle loss.
Muscle loss. Atrophy, yes. And that's just not when either one of those can be true, right? So just not getting enough protein, if you're very active training, I've seen it on InBodies before where people were not getting enough protein. And hey, we started out for 3 months and muscle went down. Why did that happen? Now, okay, I need more protein, and within weeks that number starts popping back up and we see benefit, right? Some caloric needs for muscle gain, training age. Most of y'all have been in here for a period of time, maybe over a year for everybody. More consistent is better, and the longer you're in here, so if you're in here 5 or 10 years like some people have been, your training age is going to be a bit higher, so you're going to be used to the exercise that we do, and it's going to take a little bit more demand to see some muscle growth than it is for somebody coming off the couch like, hey, I'm just getting started. I can come in here. This is a new stimulus for me. Maybe I'm going to get muscle. We call that newbie gains. So I just started, got some muscle. Great, but that does change the longer you train. Generally for advanced training ages, I would say 2 or 3 years or more, we want to see a 5 to 15% increase of calories above our maintenance. So we talked about our total daily energy expenditure. We jumped that up by 5 or 10% to try to build some muscle. And that is definitely something that should be in our plan every once in a while. No matter where you're at, we cannot diet for 3 straight years and say, oh, I'm losing weight here and there. We need to have times where, okay, I'm going to put my health, my muscle, that's going to be what I'm focusing on for these next 3 or 4 months. Get stronger, build some muscle, and then maybe I can start losing a little bit of fat, because that is a very important part of aging and longevity, is maintaining that muscle mass. Do you have any questions on that part of it?
Yeah, so, like if somebody is consistent for, 5, 10 years, are they able to maintain, or do they have to do, like 3 or 4 months of, I guess, building?
So is the question like, can I keep what I gained with certain amount of training? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So like before we start to lose muscle, so it takes about once a week of training per muscle group to maintain what we have. So generally in here we're doing full body every day, and so we're going to hit all the major muscle groups. We do compound exercises, squats, bench press, deadlifts. So we're using multiple joints, and so we're going to touch on everything a little bit with some intensity, and so that is going to say, hey, my body is going to use this, it's going to do this, my brain knows I need to hold on to that, and as long as you're feeding it protein and other nutrients, it's going to keep it, and once a week is generally pretty good for that. If you're looking to gain, we might have to start going up in how often we train, or increasing the volume within our training that we're already doing. Extra sets here and there can be fine. I know I've challenged a couple people in here recently, like, hey, we did some bench press this past month, and some people got really strong, and so we did an extra set here and there, or extra way of doing it, just because they were feeling good that day and are looking for that. Does that answer it? Okay. If it doesn't, you can let me know later. But we're going to move into some supplements today, specific for gaining muscle and improving body composition. Can be a great way to do it. Now, supplements are meant to be exactly that. They're not magic. It's a tool that we use to bridge the gap. It's hard to get protein. Everybody just about uses some kind of protein supplement, right? That shake that we have. That's an easy way because it's hard to get all the protein that we talked about outside with a couple of people. Like, that's a way to bridge the gap, but you still need to do the other things well to see that growth. They give you abilities such as fatigue resistance, energy, and it's still up to you to put in that work. All right? So, claims don't always equal the supportive evidence. Sometimes people are just selling you stuff on the internet and said, hey, eat this and you'll burn this fat, or eat this and you'll get jacked, whatever it is. It's not always true, and the FDA does not regulate supplements unless there's something that is banned, like, hey, this ingredient is harmful. The FDA will come out and say, hey, you can't use that, but these other ingredients are fine. So people can put as much as they want in there. I'm going to put a drop of creatine in there and say it's a gummy, and that's just not what is actually there. So third-party testing is great for that, and that is what we keep. Research and randomized controlled trials provide us population, controlled variables, and mechanisms. That's what I wanted to get to. We're going to talk about some mechanisms here for our supplements. So creatine, suggested 5 grams a day. You can load that on the front end to like 20 grams a day. Safe to do, but might have some stomach pains. Cumulative effect, so over time it increases the phosphocreatine stores within your muscles, and that just means we have more ATP in there, and that shows us the more energy we have more strength, power, and the ability to train with volume because of that energy. Caffeine, generally we want 2 to 3 milligrams per kilogram per dose. So a 185-pound person would want to have about 250 milligrams without much risk of a side effect. You can go way above that, but that's going to be up to you to determine, like, what's a good amount for me that I feel good or that it helps me. Not a replacement for sleep, though, but that's kind of up to the individual there. Safe amounts are like 3 to 9 milligrams per day per the body weight, so it can get up there. If you're a 10-cup coffee drinker a day, good for you. I'm not doing that. All right. The way it works, caffeine has an acute effect that works, takes about an hour. So if you're drinking that Spark right before you come in, you're not going to see much benefit for your workout. Give it about an hour. But what it does is it goes up into the brain, and it plugs in. It's like a key, and you've got these locks in your brain that says, I'm tired. It blocks that signal. And okay, I'm not as tired as I thought I was. And that actually lights up some other things like nerve excitability, motor recruitment. Simple way to say that, I wrote it down here. I don't remember where I wrote it. But basically our brain is telling our muscles to work quicker and faster and more efficiently because it's not so fatigued. Because the signal from the brain is what's important to producing power within our exercises. All right, beta-alanine, one more question?
No, I guess I'm just wondering what is that?
Which one?
Beta-alanine.
Okay, so beta-alanine is an amino acid that we get from protein, but we don't get enough of it for the benefits that we can supplement with. 1.6 grams or more a day. Research is safe up to like 12 grams of a megadose. If you do that, you are going to be tingling out of your skin, I promise. And it's not, like, I like the feeling of it. Like, I get a little tingle, and I enjoy it. Like, okay, I'm ready for my workout. I get that feeling. Not everybody likes it.
Is that in the pre-workout stuff?
Often, yes.
They tingle or
Yeah.
feel that sugar thing?
Yep. If you like it, great, like I do. If not, find a different alternate. Another one that's a cumulative effect, and the way that it works is this also stores inside of your muscle, increasing the carnosine content. Now, carnosine is made up of histidine, another amino acid, and beta-alanine. Those two combine to go into your muscle, and what it does is it buffers hydrogen ions. So we're doing maybe the walking lunges or the sled push and then the squat hold. I know most of you all have tried that in the past little bit, but muscles start burning up, getting on fire. What is happening that causes that burning? Can anybody answer that?
I would say fermentation. The muscle shifts from aerobic respiration to anaerobic.
Kind of.
Produces
That's,
acid in the cell.
yes, so acidosis,
Plus is a measurement of your acidity,
awesome.
the number of
Love the biology teacher. So glad you're here.
it burns because there's a bunch of acid.
It burns because it becomes an acidic environment. Acidosis, exercise causes the pH within the muscle to decrease to a more acidic environment. Hydrogen is removed due to the carnosine actions. And that burning feeling is not lactic acid buildup. That's what a lot of people would say in the past. Lactic acid is a byproduct, and the hydrogen builds up, and that carnosine is pushing that out of the muscle so that we can continue to work. Oh, it's up there. Reduces acidosis. Delays fatigue in the short efforts and repeat intervals. So if I'm going to do something, go hard for a few seconds or time or whatever, I can get up and repeat that again and stay at a high level with it versus falling off. Like, hey, I did 12 reps of those lateral raises. Now I can do it again with the same weight and get very close to what I just did versus like now 8 feels really, really hard. So we're able to do things a little bit longer. And that's what all of these supplements are doing is how can it make me work harder during that time so that I can do a little bit more and see that mechanical growth of the muscle. A couple other honorable mentions I want to put in there. Nitrates, beetroot powders are out there. Citrulline malate is an ingredient. Are great. They open up the blood vessels so that you can get more blood to the muscle and allow for more nutrients to help with the food. Question?
Like a creatine. So would you take it before workout or after?
Right now, it doesn't matter. There is emerging research showing like does it have an acute effect, to be seen in the next couple years with what comes out. So it's always changing. And the more knowledge, yeah, any time of day. I take mine with my pre-workout just because it's easier, or with your protein after is fine.
So do they have results saying that it, that says that it helps with recovery?
Definitely,
Creatine?
yes.
Definitely.
Recovery is a big one. Again, more energy in the muscle to be able to do other actions. It's not only muscle contractions. Any other questions on, oh yeah, I got one more I wanted to mention. The rhodiola rosea seems to be an emerging ingredient that seems to like relax people. Like your brain is a little bit relaxed, so you can do a little bit more in the gym, in other activities as we go through it. The nitrates, though, beetroot often underdosed. So if you had those beetroot powders in the past, some of you might have used it or still take it. Sometimes you need like 2 or 3 scoops of that just to get the minimal effect. Because there was a line like, hey, you need 400 milligrams of nitrates. And I had a slide in school that we had, and it was like, here's 20 of the most common products. One of them was above the line for an effective dose. So do keep in mind, know what you're using. If you have questions, you can always ask us, and we'll get you an answer, all right? Moving into our next slide, the GLP-1 medications is glucagon-like peptide 1. That's a natural hormone that signals fullness and satiety and slows the emptying of our stomach. A short effect, very mild, natural in our body that happens like, hey, my body's full. Signal goes up to the brain, says, I don't need to eat anymore, and we stop that. The semaglutide drugs that are out there mimic that effect. So it goes in there, it works on those receptors, and that causes longer effects. So we have, this lasts for like a week. It's very strong, and there are some side effects such as nausea with that. But I don't want to demonize this so much. I think it's an okay thing for some people to do. I don't think somebody needs it to lose 5 or 10 pounds. I think that's ridiculous. We can make a better choice than going on something like this. But for somebody that really does need the help, here are some major takeaways. Number one, the single most effective treatment for weight loss that we have ever seen. So it is benefiting a lot of people. Does anybody know what it replaced as the most effective? Yes. So not just gastric bypass, but all bariatric surgeries. And I think that is a huge win because the bariatric surgery comes with a lifetime, it's a lifetime switch. I can no longer eat this. I have to eat very limited food. I have to take supplements of vitamins and nutrients, and I have to do that for the rest of my life. Whereas this is something we can go on and come off of as needed. But it is something, and I'll mention this at the end, there's a lack of research on this with body composition results, and I was a little bit surprised by this. It is out there, but people aren't looking at it right now. The body composition, up to 30 to 40%, one of those references showed of muscle loss when people were on GLP-1s. That's way too much. Now, that can be controlled a little bit if you're eating protein, you're training, doing those things, but that is something that the surprising thing for me, sorry, my throat is like dry. So what I found was when I looked at the research comparing, because it is out there, taking the GLP-1s with just a standard loss, that 30 to 40% was very similar across the board. I thought it was going to be, okay, they're taking this drug, and that's going to cause muscle mass loss because of the mechanism that it's doing, which is the calorie deficit. But people just weren't going to exercise because, hey, I can do this, I don't need to exercise. And that's just not the case. It turns out people still don't exercise, and they still lose muscle because they're not eating enough. So I was a little surprised by that, and what I want to mention with this is that this should be something used to jumpstart a healthier lifestyle, not the only factor. So as we get started, like, hey, I'm going to use this so that I can see some benefit. I need to be motivated by some success because if I feel like I'm not seeing success, then it's not working and I don't want to do it. Where this can be something that, okay, I'm taking this, my weight is going down, I'm getting into some exercise, I'm choosing better foods, and this altogether is going to help me keep all my muscle mass and maybe keep this a temporary drug and not like, hey, I'm going to take this forever, because that's not what we need. All right?
Someone who took it, and as soon as they could change nothing about their lifestyle.
Yeah.
They took it, they never felt hungry, they never finished a meal, they just didn't eat.
Right.
Got off of it, 10 pounds within a month.
And that, like, if you look at, like if we did an in-body, there would be almost a guaranteed effect of, like, muscle mass is going down, you're going to get weaker, bone density might be reducing. Yeah. Portion control is a very good thing to have, but not because I just can't, right? Know what you have and eat to support that adaptation. All right, getting into our final little project here, you have on your paper a SMART goal, and the details on that, the specific is the details on the goal. So what is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? Measurable is how you'll keep track of it. Think of weight loss. We do the body composition results, this in-body scan, or like just looking at the number on the scale if you want. You could have a couple different things that measure your progress. Actionable, so the steps you take to implement that plan. That's the most important one, I would say, is what are you actually going to do? I'm going to, like, weight loss is my first go-to for this because it's a common one within the gym. But I'm going to do an in-body scan every 4 weeks. I am going to show up to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, whatever it is. I'm going to eat this many calories or this much protein. Those are your action steps that you take. And if you follow those very well, usually you're going to have some success with what you're doing. Realistic, just make sure it's not an unachievable goal. I want to lose 30 pounds this month. Not going to happen, right? Not healthy. So keep that realistic. And then time-based, it just gives you a time to keep accountable. I like short-term and long-term for this. You can have steps or action steps that take you through the weeks. You can have action steps that take you through the months or a year. And that picture can be as much as you want it to be, depending on how your goal is. A statement would be something like, I'm going to set a goal to lose 10 pounds by June 31st by going to the gym 3 days a week, measuring on the in-body, and basically just putting all those things together in one sentence. So if you have a goal in mind, or if you need help with a goal, now's the time we're going to take about 10 minutes here to go over it. And then if anybody's willing to share, I would love to have that available. All right? So take a few minutes. If you want, write that stuff down. If you have anything in mind, and ask questions at this time if you would like. Nobody has any questions? Yeah.
All the different like protein snacks and drinks and all that, do you have any that you recommend more than others, and like how many is it okay to have in a day? Like,
For me, I like to not exceed one shake or one protein bar in a day, or a combination of that. You can do more. It's not going to be harmful, especially if it's helping you get enough. But I would choose whole foods first. So choose the lean beef or the fish or the complementary plant-based proteins, the rice and the beans, more often than you try to choose for these. They can be a great example because sometimes they're lower calorie, easier to grab, you don't have to prepare. But does that answer the question, or do you need more?
but then do you have some that you think are better, and like how do you read those labels to know if the protein
Awesome.
or the protein?
So generally, whey protein isolate is your ingredient that you're looking for. That's going to be your highest quality of protein powder. And it's the same thing you put in your shake. You dump that protein in your shake, mix it up. It's the same thing they put in these. Lower quality is concentrate. It doesn't seem to matter which one you get. The concentrate can have like more lactose in it, so that could be problematic. Maybe some people get the protein farts, they say, right? So if you get that gas, maybe choose a higher quality protein so you don't have that.
Can you replace a meal with a shake?
Can you from time to time? Sure. Would I suggest it every day? Probably not.
Does it though like depend on what you put in it?
Yes. So if your shake is like full of berries, granola, protein, maybe some like Greek yogurt or something that's loaded with protein, and it keeps you full for a few hours, I think that's a great choice. You can do that every day. But if you're saying, hey, I'm not going to eat dinner, but I'm just going to have a shake, that's probably not the best choice. So keep in mind like what the habit is and how much of it. Like we said, one a day.
Or like breakfast, you know, I
Yeah.
come here and I
Yeah.
have coffee before I come.
Fine.
And then when I get home, I have a shake, but then I don't
Great.
eat until lunchtime.
I would say as long as you're getting like your fruits and vegetables, like getting a few servings of those every day, getting what you need, your muscles hanging around, which you just mentioned, like the complements on the arms, right? So I would say that's fine. what I don't want it to be is like, okay, I eat a meal for breakfast. If it's, hey, I need something easier to get because I'm on the go, shake can be a great option. But definitely mix it with the whole foods if you can, and not just the powdered milk or whatever all the time. That's kind of a it depends question. So I think what you're doing sounds fine. I go home, have the shake, totally fine with that.
What about eggs? You didn't say about eggs,
What kind of question do you have about eggs?
protein or the nutritional?
They're fantastic. Love them. The egg yolk has about half the protein in it, so I would not suggest skipping it. But it could be beneficial, like, hey, I don't need so much fat. I need more protein. So mixing the egg yolks with whole eggs is great. The yolk has all the nutrients. So all the good, healthy fats are in there. It's got a little bit of saturated fat too. But generally, I would say eat them up. It's not going to be harmful. I didn't do much on this for this presentation, but whole eggs doesn't seem to have any bad impact on like cholesterol, up to a point. Like, so a few a day is probably a good choice, unless you need to reduce the calories, then consider the egg whites with it. Does that answer? Okay.
Yeah, because we all lived through the.
Oh yeah, I got dozens of eggs at home.
No fat, no carbs.
Right.
You know, the cholesterol.
And it's still around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
meat, all that stuff. This is bad, no, it's good.
Okay. Does anybody want to share a goal or statement they made? Did anybody make one?
I did not make one because I didn't want to make one. And it's not, I don't want this to become a job and something that right now I'm enjoying coming to the gym, kind of, learning, not take away from it. I generally eat pretty healthy, but if I want to eat something, I'm going to eat it, so I've been losing weight just doing what I've been doing, so I feel pretty happy, and, I'm not looking to be in Mr. America or anything.
Right.
So I'm just trying to, I'm enjoying the whole process of just coming to the gym and doing that. So that's kind of like, I don't want it to be like, it's something that I have to do and get in my mind.
Can anybody else relate to that?
Yes.
Okay, so
I need strict.
now, yeah, that's great. I don't expect you to make a goal, but do know you can use this for anything. Like, this could be something toward, hey, I want to get stronger in this movement. How do I do that? How do I make steps to do that? So it's not only like composition or weight loss. It can be any style of goal that you have for any reason. All right. If nobody wants to share, that's okay. Here are my references, and then we are going to be starting.
I told you guys.
You're going to die if you eat this or have diarrhea.
Here are the disclaimers.
We do have a Kickstart program coming up, 6 weeks, taking what you learned today and building into, like, if you do have a goal or weight loss or anything like that in mind, body composition, take a look up there, and we will get started in about a week with that if you're interested. Charlie, if you have more to say about it, you're welcome to.
I think so. As we were talking, Vinny's actually been testing this exactly with a handful of people in here, and it's been working pretty well. And so, if you're like, I need help, I don't know what to do, want someone to check in regularly, we just wanted to put something together for a short term to like help kickstart you. So that's the gist. There's no pressure for that. If you guys are showing up regularly to workouts, we're going to talk about this stuff. This is going to be a deeper dive, and Vinny basically holding your hand, walking through the nutrition specific things.
I will say, I did it last year, and I signed up for the 2-month program in June, July. I got a little nutrition coaching about encouraging you to track your calories and eat the protein and all that. And so my husband did it with me, and so we've been sticking with it. But he's lost like over 30 pounds, and he's done great. And I've lost, maybe 18. But it's just like, and we're continuing. See, but it creates that mindset, and we're continuing it. We're trying
Right.
to, really. I slacked off a little, and then I'll get back to it.
But like I said, phases.
It works. Oh, and it's livable, and it's doable, and we're eating foods we enjoy.
Thank you for that, Tina.
Yeah.
You hate her.
Trying to keep me on track.
This is a paid
We will have more for this. I think we got a flyer up front. You mentioned
Couple up front.
if you want to take it with you. But that does conclude our class for today. Thank you all again for coming. This is a great turnout. If you have ideas or thoughts of something you'd like to see in the future, I know we talked about it a little bit outside, Michelle. More specific, because this is very general, please let us know, and we'll start scheduling more often if you're interested, all right? Thank you.